Bloom. This is our first time going live on YouTube, so we're super excited to be here. Tori, I'm going to turn on the chat so we can see the chat. Okay.
Yes.
Um, let's just dive right in. You want to kick it off by telling what is the Bloom?
I would love to. So, hi, friends. Welcome to The Bloom.
Hi.
The Bloom is our brand new Cultivate What Matters video podcast right here on YouTube Live. We are so excited to finally be doing this with you guys. It's felt like a brain baby for a really long time and something that we've been just really feel like I keep using the word excited, but we're just really excited to do this. We wanted to create a space where we could just chat with you about goals in a really like sit down to coffee and hang out kind of way. Because Kelly and I have both been using Cultivate What Matters products for a really long time. We've been goal setting with Cultivate, and we have kind of been through the ups and downs and highs and lows with our goals. And we thought it would be really fun to kind of hand in hand walk with you as you work on your goals with Cultivate What Matters. So we wanted to create this podcast space to do that with you and just have fun together, learn together, grow together, and celebrate together.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're so excited. So um, we also go live on Tuesdays, and during that call on Instagram, we are going to talk through our specific goals. So you can join us there on Tuesdays at 12:30 Eastern Time, 1:30. I get it mixed up. I'm all in all different kinds of time zones right now, Tori. I'm so sorry. It's 12:30 Central Time, 1:30 Eastern Time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays on Instagram, so if you prefer that, that's a shorter little goal check-in. And then Thursdays, the podcast will be live on YouTube at the same time, so 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern. We chose live for a very deliberate reason. It is a podcast, so we will have fun chats. You'll learn something. It's going to be super encouraging and an easy listen. You can listen to it in the car even. But it's live, so you can ask questions and get real time support from us on the podcast. But we will save it to the Bloom folder on YouTube. And if you subscribe to our channel, you can click notifications and it will send our episodes to your homepage whenever we go live. So you don't have to go looking for everything. Tori, I'm really excited about this episode today because it feels very heartfelt. And no, I will not be on my phone during every podcast, but we had a death in our family this week. And so I'm home in Alabama cultivating what matters. And so Tori and I decided not to postpone it. We decided to just do it because that's kind of a lot of cultivators kind of struggle with waiting for the perfect conditions. We always tell ourselves, one day I'll do this thing I've been wanting to do, or when the time is right, or when I have the right enough money, or when I have the plan perfectly laid out, then I will execute it. And so we just decided today's the day. We said we are going to start it today. Hey, Lissa, it's nice to see you. This is our first time using YouTube chat or like the live, so I'm really glad to be able to see the chat. Thank you for adding your chat there. Yeah, we just decided to do it today, just to start. That's a hard thing for some cultivators because we tend to be perfectionists and we want everything to be right. So I will not be on my shaky phone every time, but today I am. So Tori, I'm just so excited. Let's just dig in. Let's
Let's do that.
tell who we are, what we do at Cultivate, and maybe what we hope to get out of this time together. Do you want to start?
I would love to. So, my name's Tori. I am officially titled Goal Content Creator for
But you're
Cultivate.
so much more.
Thanks, friend.
Tori and I are good counterparts. I don't know. We do everything together.
You do. It's really true because I feel like anytime I'm working on something, I even just yesterday, or 2 days ago, I was like, "Kelly, I just need to connect with you so that I can feel aligned," because it's felt like we've kind of been, with the holidays and,
Mhm.
traveling and different schedules, we just do everything together and we bounce ideas off of each other, and I was like, "I just need a connection time so I can feel like we're moving in the same direction."
I
Uh,
love your title,
it's
but tell us what you really do.
okay. I don't know. No,
A
I
lot.
uh, I currently am working with our affiliates, so I help with our affiliates and loving on our affiliates and helping them with content creation and all that fun stuff. And then I also work with Goal School Premium. I'm like trying to think of all things. And so I work on writing our classes and doing research about the topics that we have, um, which also includes our Tinningless Tuesday live. So our goal check ins with Kelly on Instagram. The Bloom is new, and we're so excited about this. And I think this is going to be really good for me this year because I put some hairy, scary goals on my power sheets again.
You did! By the way, we went through all of our goals. If you want to know specifically what Tori's talking about on Instagram, so you can find that on our feed. If you'll scroll back, it says goal check in on the feed, so you can find it there. And you can see all of Tori's big, audacious goals and mine too.
And
But yours
Kelly's.
are way bigger than
Kelly's.
mine.
No, they're not. You set some huge goals, like big
One.
dream goals this year. I love them. So yeah, I do all of that, and then I also get the opportunity to work on products and product development and writing. I've currently been working on some write the words. So just lots of, I feel like I get to just have a lot of fun at work. I get to do all kinds of fun things. So
Yeah, I love
yeah.
that. Very good
Tell us
rundown.
tell us about you, Kelly.
I'm the brand manager of Cultivate What Matters, which is a fancy title, but really I tell everybody I just clean up. Like I'm like more like the housekeeper. I just run around, I clean up. If somebody's stuck on something, I help them. I fix things that break. I try to like catch things that go out that are wrong, mistakes and stuff like that. I communicate with platform people, all that kind of stuff. But I also do some of our social content, and I co-host our other podcast that's not video, it's just an audio podcast with Casey. Um, I don't know, Tori. What else do I do? I do our paid media. I don't know. We do it
I
all.
feel like you're like the mama. Like you help to encourage us and
I am
make
like the
sure that
mama.
we're well equipped for all of our jobs. And so I don't know. What I love so much about our team at Cultivate What Matters is that we all kind of like we have our own buckets that we work out of, but
Yeah,
we
we do.
all also work as a team. Like we
Yeah,
help each other, we collaborate a lot. So yeah, it's just really
it's
fun.
it's very hard for us to explain what we do to people. I heard someone else telling what they do, and she was like, it is true. We all work together really well. So we do have our seats that we own, but we work. That's a very good point. We just work together a lot. So, and it works
It
for us. It's
is.
really beautiful. It's a beautiful example of how cultivating what matters is better together.
We're better together.
Yeah, very okay. So let's talk about our topics for January, what we're going to be talking about on here, and then I also want to share our stories of how we found Cultivate.
Would love that. So in January, we are going to be focused on the power of preparation because around here at Cultivate right now, we're all digging into our 2024 power sheets. And part of what we do in power sheets is our prep work. And so preparation is very important to us. And we want to spend some time talking about the why behind that, why preparation is important, how it helps us live with purpose and intention and make decisions that help us to cultivate what matters. So all month in January, we're going to be talking about the power of preparation.
I'm really excited about this too because so many people, going back to people like us being perfectionists, so many of us will feel like I'm behind. January's already
Mhm.
started. Like it's over.
I've seen that a lot on
Yeah.
our in our different Facebook groups. I've seen a lot of people say that, but what I love is that the oldies in Cultivate
Oh
who's
yeah.
been around for a while are like, "You're not behind." Like, January 1st is just a date on a calendar.
You're so right. And I really like that we're taking the whole month to talk about preparation because Tori, truly those things that matter, we're gonna share our stories in just a minute. So you'll hear how we came to what matters, I guess, to us. But those things that matter are not gonna stop mattering just because January 1st has passed. And so if you have not gotten your goals, you know, nailed down. Or if you are like, I'm behind, I haven't started, I'll wait until next quarter, I'll wait until the summer, I'll do it next year, I'll get power sheets in 2025, whatever you're thinking, just pause on that perfectionist type mindset and tell yourself, I can prepare right now. I can start today. I can start now. This thing that matters is still going to matter, even though time has passed. And honestly, the more time that passes in our life, the closer that we get to eternity, and those things begin to matter more. I don't know if you found that, Tori, but I've found that the
Yeah.
older I've gotten, as time has passed, those things didn't matter less. They mattered more. So the urgency that I felt about them increases with time. And so just start now. Just Do your future self a thank you. And whatever it is that you're dreaming of, just start right now. Um, segue time, Tori. Do you want to talk about how you found Cultivate, or do you want me to go first? What do you feel? What are you feeling?
I want to hear. I love your story about how you found Cultivate, and I would love for you to tell us about it.
Okay, I feel like I talk a lot, so go like this if I was
I love
scared.
listening. I love listening to you talk.
I love listening to you talk. Okay, my Cultivate story. Um, a friend gave me a set of power sheets, and I kind of started them for the wrong reason. I had a little side hustle going. I was a school teacher, a public school teacher, and so I was trying to make extra money, and I had a little side hustle going. And I really looked at them as like the secrets to the universe because my friend kept telling me power sheets are the best. They're amazing. They'll help you reach your goals. And at that time in my life, I thought goals were like losing 20 pounds or like, getting a six-figure business. I had all these goals that were like good goals, but in a sense they were motivated by something that like wasn't possible. Like I wanted to have like this dream body that like I could only see in like an airbrush magazine. And I
Mhm.
wasn't really wanting to change my life. I just wanted like the outcome of that. And so when I got my power sheets, I worked through them, found my goals, loved them, and then I realized like this is really hard and I'm going to have to actually change my life cuz my habits need to change and my routines need to change and my why needs to change. And I really felt like at that time I was very young and I felt like I don't know, I just put them away on a shelf and
Mm.
I didn't do anything with them because it felt like maybe a little overwhelming. Like maybe I felt like this is a lot. It was my first ever power sheets and I felt like this is a
Yeah.
lot. And I want my life to be different than it is. And I don't know. I don't know if I wasn't ready to change. I just don't know, but I put them away. And then a few years later, I went through a really hard season, and I pulled my power sheets back out because I remembered all those dreams that I had written in there. And Tori, I opened them up for the first time in years, and I really think I grieved over those pages because I realized that time had passed without me. Like I was still exactly where I was before I ever wrote my power sheets, and nothing
Mhm.
changed in my life.
Mhm.
And I felt like I had wasted years of my life just existing and it like, I grieved over losing that time, and so I was like, "You know what? I'm going to order power sheets, and I'm gonna try again." I really didn't know much about power sheets at the time. I'd only done that one that I kinda flaked out on, to be honest. And so I ordered a set of power sheets, and I read our founder, Laura Casey's book, Make It Happen, and there was a her book opens with, like, a scene of her on the treadmill, and she, like, literally collapses on the treadmill because she's running and running and running and running, and I don't know, it's just a story about how she had to come home from college and how she was striving for so many things and she was striving for the wrong reasons. And that resonated with me because I live like that too. I just recently told Danielle, one of the ladies that we work with, that I feel like if I take my foot off the gas, I'm going to have like grave consequences, which is, you know, um, so I just found a lot of solace in her book, and I started right then doing power sheets religiously. So much so that I took power sheets into my school. I worked in an inner city high school, um, and I sat them down in front of my students, and I was like, "Okay, guys, uh, we're gonna do something new today." I taught English, but we didn't do English that day. And I had this little analogy that um, power sheets and cultivate what matters is like walking through a door. You don't have to know the whole picture. You just have to open the door and walk through, and then somebody on the other side of that door can help you. Um, and it was really sweet. I'll share some of those stories from using power sheets with my high schoolers as we go on the podcast. I don't want to talk too long, but things like first in family to go to college, getting off drugs, making money without doing illegal things. Um, I have a human trafficking story that came from power sheets that's really heartfelt, and I think it was at that time when I realized how cultivating what matters affected the future generations of our world that I realized this is big work. What we do
Mhm.
here is big work and it really matters because it's really easy to write yourself in your power sheets like make more money, lose more weight, which all are good things. Hey, I got that in my power sheets this year. Financial goals, fitness goals, I got them. But when you realize that the work that you're doing is for it's for a legacy that lives longer than you, that helps people, it changes everything about cultivating. It really
Mhm.
does. Anyway, that's my, like, really long story, power sheets.
No, I love it, Kelly. I'm just meditating on what I feel like every time I hear you tell it, I just capture like a different piece of it. And today I'm meditating on what you said about how when you first started, you were just focused on like a pretty outcome.
Yep.
And I feel like a lot of times when we set goals, that's kind of where we live. We're like, I just
Yeah.
want this outcome. But what Cultivate does so well is we focus on the little by little steps in between. Like, what is the process that helps us
Yeah.
get there? Because often that process is where the legacy is built. The things that we learn in the in between. Like, I remember, so I ran a marathon, and the training for the marathon is what prepared me for life ahead, like, the marathon itself was great. It was a huge accomplishment, and I was so excited about it, but the marathon was then and done, but I trained for almost a year for it, and
Yes.
it's that in between, the steps that it takes to get there that was really where the magic happens, and so I love
Mhm.
that, and I could hear that in, like, what you were saying your students were writing about, the things that they wanted out of life that were just so much more than,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know, that
and the
really
thing
touched me.
thank you. The thing actually, the reason I took power sheets to them, and this is in line with exactly what you're saying about how running that marathon, realizing that you had to set those mini goals, be consistent, like, it's something that you don't actually just you're not born knowing how to do that. It's a
Yeah.
skill that you have to develop. Some of us developed it really young because we had parents that pushed us into those uncomfortable situations where we consistently had to face discomfort, and some of us didn't. And so if you need to learn that skill now, like it's just a skill, like I don't know, like learning how to cross stitch or something. That's the skill.
I like
So
that that's the skill you went to. Like, who needs to ride a bike? Let's cross it.
I was like, wait, I'm almost 40. Cross stitch it is. Okay, but my students, Tori, I realized I asked them to write BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals.
Mhm.
And they wrote the most to me, and this might sound judgmental, but for me, as a person who believed in their big potential, to see the goals that they wrote made me really sad because they wrote things like one girl wrote that she wanted to turn 16. I taught ninth grade 14-year-olds. She just
Mhm.
wanted to make it to 16. One of them one of them wrote that he wanted to make $30,000 a year. That was the salary that he wanted for himself. And it crushed me because I saw them as these brilliant, fun, like amazing people that had limitless potential. And then when I read their goals, I felt like you don't see your limitless potential. And so I started thinking about it and how so much in life we are taught, we're taught in like absolutes, like very black and white. We kind of are taught that like people who live in poverty have a poverty mentality, or you can have a poverty mentality if you limit yourself and what you can achieve. And we're taught that the opposite of a poverty mentality is an abundance mentality. You have less but you can achieve more. And I realized when I was looking at them, like it is like an abundance mindset is not the opposite of poverty mindset. The opposite, like poverty says today is all I have and tomorrow is never going to come. So I'm bankrupt essentially in terms of time and money and space. But legacy says tomorrow matters. And the things that I do can add up to the things that I can accomplish in my future. And my students just did not have a concept of what you're talking about with your running, like setting those goals and being there and showing up consistently. You said you learned how to cultivate through that.
Mhm.
And they had never learned how to cultivate because they had been raised literally and like with like a bankrupt mindset. And so we didn't work on like achieving more money or that's what would frustrate them too because people would say you should go to college. And they'd be like, "But I like fixing cars."
Mhm.
That's but I feel like when they learned how to cultivate what matters and they learned that what mattered to them was worth working for, it changed everything, and it
It
didn't have
does.
to
It
be what
really
their
does.
teacher said mattered. Yeah, it didn't have to
Mhm.
be what somebody else said mattered. It could be what mattered to them, and I feel like when I saw that happening with my students and kids, it really changed my understanding of cultivating what matters because,
Yeah,
like
because we get to decide what fires us up, what makes us
yes.
excited, what were we built for. And I think that that
Yeah.
is one of the biggest gifts of Cultivate is that we have to think about like why this goal? Is it
Yeah.
because somebody said I should? Or is it because this is what I really want or need in this season? And yeah,
Yes, Tori.
it's powerful work when you sit down and really think about those things because I think that goals have kind of become these flippant things almost a lot of in a lot of
Yeah.
places because oh it's the new year I need to set my goals but I'm going to be failing at them by next week. You know, it just has
We
become this
laugh
like
about it.
yeah.
My
But
friend sorry, go ahead. I have a funny story for you after you finish your thought. Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I can just see where it's going. I can't wait. Um, but I think that what we do here is yes, it's goals, but it's also like life. It's about living, like truly living
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
living in a way that we appreciate the life that we have. So and yeah,
Yeah.
I could talk all
Yeah.
day about
No.
cultivating others.
No, I'm so glad you said that. One of our verses at our company is, "Lord, teach us to number our days." Teach us to number the days that we've been given. We do not have limitless time on this earth, and it's quantifiable, and it
Mhm.
matters what you do with that time that's ticking down, as morbid as it sounds. But back to your point about joking about like I'm gonna fail by February. One of my friends sent me a text, and it said January 1st motivation off the charts. January 2nd, I think I want to binge watch Netflix or something. Like she literally put it in a text. And I was like, that's funny. It's so true. Like January
It's
31st, we're like, let's go 2024. But then by January 2nd, we're like, how bad do I
yeah,
want this?
that was us in the gym this morning. So, Annika, who works here at the office with me, has been going to the gym with me in the mornings. I'm a morning gym girly,
Okay.
and I'm like, I love getting up in the morning and going. Morning workouts are new for her, and today she was just like, "I'm over it." Like the first 2 days, I was so excited
She's
and
over
like,
it.
just she was like, I feel like I'm at the point now where my excitement about the new year isn't going to get me there. Like I'm going to have to develop
100%.
the habits and the routines and the discipline to actually make these things happen.
Yes, and we feel like we can't like our willpower will get us there. We feel like putting it
Mhm.
in our planner is going to get it there, but it's not, Tori. It's the why that gets you there because the energy wears off, the motivation wears off, the accountability partner oversleeps. Like the thing that keeps you going is that thing deep inside of you that says this matters. This
And the check
really.
mark.
Okay, scratch everything I just said. All we want to do is check off the checkbox on our to-do list. You said it
I
with so
really do, like, I I had to have a talk with myself this morning because I was looking at my power sheets and I was like, "Ugh." On January 1st, I didn't do one of my daily habits because it was a holiday, it was the
shame.
Alabama football game, Roll Tide, and so I didn't get to it because I was doing other things, I was cultivating the other things that matter,
Yeah.
and I was like, "It's okay if you don't do everything every day. It's okay."
Tori, someone told me in the Power Sheets group to give yourself a dot when you don't do it.
I
And
X'd it.
that
So
is
then my
so
box wasn't blank.
yeah, but I put a dot. A dot is less threatening than an X.
It is, you're right, I should
It's
do
a little
that.
bit cuter too. You can do an X if you want. If it makes you feel good to really be like that does not make me feel good. That gives me anxiety. So I put a happy dot. Like, oh, happy dot. And then I
It's
do
a
like a
little
check
happy
on it.
failure dot. No,
It's not a failure dot. It's a
I
happy
know, I'm
it's a
joking.
grace dot.
It is. I'm joking because like
I
I
know.
said, I was busy doing the things that were very
Yeah.
important to me, spending time with friends and family, and
Yeah.
I did so many other things that day, like actually built out my power sheets for the year, and I was
Yeah.
like, "This is silly that I'm focused on this one little thing." It wasn't even that important. It's just something that I would like to happen.
Yeah.
And I yeah, so I yes, I should have put a dot because
Will
I
you
was
go
still
on with
doing
your
great
failure
things.
X's? I'm gonna continue on with my grace dots, and we'll meet in the middle
I'm gonna
somehow.
switch to gray dots. I like that.
I'm forever gonna call them failure dots now, but like, thank you for that. Okay,
You're
Tori.
not failing if you miss a checkbox, friends.
No, we're
We're
just teasing
just
you.
joking.
We're just trying to add a little humor to the failure situation. But Tori, which really isn't failure. Tori, tell us your Power Sheets story. I wanna hear. I
Okay.
love listening to you tell your story.
Okay, so I it's funny because we were just talking in the office about this. I've done a whole lot with my little life. I think I like this little life. But so I was in between. I
Great
was kind of
segue. So
transition thank
relevant.
you. Thank you. I was transitioning out of, teaching at the time because I was teaching in a private school and I was not supposed to be able to have children. I was pregnant with my first child, and I was like, "I just wanna be home with her." And so I was transitioning out and I was working on my own little, fitness business, and a couple of people on my team recommended Make It Happen to me, Laura's book. And so I read Make It Happen, and then we all got power sheets when they were like, loose leaf little binder power sheets. um, and so it helped me set goals to be intentional with my business and actually really helped me fall in love with the fitness industry and led me to opening my own gym and smoothie shop and just taught me I think what I had always done, always been a big dreamer. I love like big dreaming and doing big things and like seeing what's next. I love that. And I think that what I learned most from those power sheets was how to actually get there, which is why you guys will always hear me talk about the goal action plans, which have changed over the years. But I love just that intentionality of breaking down my goals and actually creating action steps because we learn so much in that
Yeah.
process. And so it helped me actually make big, huge progress because I was doing the daily things that
Mhm.
mattered. Uh, but then, so I've used Power Sheets for a very long time. Some years very successfully, some years very sporadically. But it's kind of grown and moved with me as I've gone through life. And this last Power Sheets, last I can't even remember what dates. Anyway, I was like very excited because I was training for my marathon and I had like these big dreams in there of all these great things that I was going to do. And my husband was diagnosed with cancer. And this was probably like the biggest transitional period of Power Sheets for me and where I resonate with your story so much because I had written all of these like huge, big dreams in there and I'd gotten across one off, but then all of the rest of them I couldn't accomplish because I had to change my focus for the year. And I've seen a lot of people even say that starting, they bought their power sheets and life has already thrown a curve.
Yeah.
But what I loved about it was that just because those specific things were changing, the things that mattered didn't
Mhm.
change. Those things that mattered just looked different. The way that I approached them looked different. And so, maybe I wasn't running all these crazy half marathons or, making huge leaps in my gym or, whatever those big goals were at the time. I was still, the root of them was still there, like spending time with the people that I love, taking care of my body, whatever those things might be. I learned from Power Sheets that the things that matter may have different names every year, but like you said, they live on. And as we age, they just matter more. And so I kind of shut the covers of that Power Sheets and
Yeah.
those dreams just kind of lived in there for a little while.
Mhm.
And I adjusted them. And maybe my wellness goal for the day was stepping outside and getting a bit of fresh air, um, which is okay. I think
Yeah.
that's the beauty
Yeah.
of Cultivate is that it's the root of what we're doing, not necessarily what we're doing. Uh,
Yes. I
and
love
so I kinda shut the pages on those and they were just kinda kept safe in there. And then when my life so I get a little emotional here because last year, my word of the year was renew, and it was kind of reestablishing, like, just renewing myself and allowing myself to heal after a really difficult season. And then this year, my word is remember, because now I can look back at those goals. I can look back at those habits and those routines that I've already developed and established. And I can remember what they did for me, who I was, what they were, and I can start to be and do those things again. Uh, and so that's what a lot of my goals are this year are to remember how well those routines and those habits and the really like plowing in and digging deep, remembering how well that served me and being able to do them again. And so I think the beauty of what Power Sheets have done for me and what Cultivate in general has done for me is learning that Our goals can transition with us through seasons, and there's never going to be a perfect season. I've never met a single person who's had a perfect Power Sheets year. Um, and I've met many Cultivate users who have blank tending lists sometimes, or big old X's over things, because we have to learn to allow life to be life. And I think I had held on for a really long time to this perfection mindset of like, I have to do the big things or I'm a failure. You may have heard a little bit of that as I'm talking today. Um, but that's not what it's about. And so through cultivating what matters, I learned about developing relationships along the way and like connecting with people. And that some days it's going to look beautiful and Instagram worthy, and some days it's not, but it's still going to be just as sweet, and like coming to terms with that. And
Mm.
so this year, I feel like there's a lot of grace as I go into my Power Sheets, but also a lot of like healthy hustle too. That I know I can do these things because I've done
Yes.
them before. And I know that with tools and resources in place, I can make them happen. And so I think
Yes.
that's beautiful that they kind of
Me too.
fit with us, in different seasons.
Tori, I love what you said about your word of the year being remember. I love that because it is so powerful to remind yourself of what you have done. We can sometimes look at our life and be like, it's all awful, or
Hmm.
everything is crashing down around me. Like the story that you shared, you felt like everything has gone awry. And it's so easy to be like, I am not in shape as I used to be, or my house is
Hmm.
way messier than it was, or you moved. So you're trying to rebuild community, but to look back and realize I am capable. Look at these things that I've already done gives you that confidence that you need to do it again. And that is very hard for our cultivators. For me too. Sometimes I don't often stop and give myself credit for the things that I have done. I
Yeah.
love that that's your word of the year.
Well,
That's
and
so
I think
profound.
that's a really big step that a lot of cultivators skip.
Yeah.
It's in there
Yes.
for a reason for us to
Uh-huh.
look back and reflect on our months. And I think, yeah, we get caught in this cycle of like, well, these are all the things that went wrong. And I lived like that for a little while. Um, but I've just gone through a couple of different things in my life that have reminded me that I control the zoom lens of my life.
Mhm.
I can zoom in on my problems. I used to tell this story. So after I had a son in between my 2 daughters who passed away, and after he passed away, I would go and speak different places, and I used to tell this story about if you were a photographer and you were in this field, this beautiful field, there's a piece of trash in the field. You could zoom in on that piece of trash, and all that you would see in your lens would be that piece of trash. And so your photograph would only capture
Yeah.
that junk.
Yes.
But
Yes.
if you zoom the lens out and you
Yeah.
see everything else around you, that trash almost disappears because
Yeah.
it's such an insignificant, not insignificant, it's a small part of
Yeah.
the whole picture. And I
Yes.
think what we do, especially when it comes to like goals and missing marks, and is we zoom in on those things and we forget the bigger picture
Yes.
of
And we
what,
think
what's out there.
because we're looking or taking the picture of the trash, we think that the thing is trash.
Yeah,
Like
because that's all we see.
that's all we see. Yeah.
Mhm.
So in our
Yep.
mind, that whole thing is trash because that's all that we
Yep.
see. We have a snapshot in our mind of trash. That is such a great
And
example.
I've been there. Like,
Me
when
too.
we go through difficult things in life, and you've been there,
Yeah.
everyone's been there. You go through something junky and you're like, "Well, everything's awful. My
Mhm.
whole year's ruined
Yep.
because whatever. I'm not gonna be able to accomplish my goals, or I broke my leg, or"
Yeah.
you
Tori,
know?
Tori, can I tell you something? This conversation is really encouraging me because can I tell you something? I have a confession.
Yes.
On Tuesday, I told you that my attending list was blank on TLT. Tuesday is when I got the call about my grandpa. It's still blank. Like, and
It's
it's going to be blank until next week. And I can guarantee you this, it's gonna change. What I thought I was gonna put on my attending list, having
well,
experienced the passing of my grandpa has
I've got
changed.
chills.
It's changed what I'm gonna put on my attending list because
Yeah,
I have
because
watched
those hard things in life
it changes
make
you.
us they force you to focus on what matters.
They
And
force
so
you.
Yeah, they're hard and they're awful, but they're also really beautiful. I texted Kelly earlier. I have to tell you guys something about Kelly. So I texted Kelly earlier and I asked her like, "How are you doing? How's your heart?" And she said, "Broken but joyful." And I like, what a beautiful, oh my gosh.
Tori, we're crying on YouTube right now.
But what a beautiful
Yeah,
perspective that like these hard, awful, terrible things that happen to us that feel so heavy and
yeah,
hurt are also worth celebrating and
yeah,
are can be full of joy, and those two things can coexist, and that's what makes life such a beautiful gift. And I just wow. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I love that.
I definitely have. I am living right now in this moment. I am living legacy. I am watching people come and share stories about my grandpa, and I feel like we're all getting to that age where our grandparents are aging, our parents are aging, um, but I am living I'm watching a lifetime of loving people and caring about what matters and being singular in your devotion to what matters. I am watching the fruit of that unfold before my eyes. And it's bitter because my grandpa passed, but it's so sweet because it's teaching me about what happens when you live a life that's singular in its focus.
Mhm.
We
I
forget, or go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
You talked about healthy hustle earlier, and I keep thinking about our verse, Lord teach us to number our days, because that's the reason for the healthy hustle.
Mhm.
It's the hustle because there's a time limit on our lives. But it's healthy because we're running like a race that matters. And so when you set something before you that is um, frivolous, when you get tired, you kick it out. You're like, "Oh, that doesn't matter." Or if you set a goal
Mhm.
that doesn't really deeply mean something to you, it is not going to take priority in your life. Everything else will. And that healthy hustle is important. I think that's what gives you the energy and the motivation to keep going. And it's been so sweet to see that my papa was very he had like three things that he loved. He loved my grandmother, he loved Jesus, and he loved his family and friends. And he I've been reading like Facebook posts about him, and it's amazing to me, Tori. It made me cry. It is amazing to me how everybody that has written what they loved about him says that, but not in those words.
Mhm.
They'll write, "We love Miss Carol." That's my grandmother. How do they know her? Without if he wasn't talking about her and sharing pictures of her and bragging on how proud he was of her, or this man was my friend. He was a mentor. A lot of people have called him a mentor, and I think that's because he loved his family and friends. He prioritized mentoring people. They didn't know that about him. They just knew that he was their mentor, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's legacy. Like that,
it's amazing.
I feel like cultivators kind of get, they get a little wiggly when we say legacy, but what we're
Yeah,
talking
they do.
about is that,
Yeah,
like, what what's going to be left behind when you're no longer here? What do you want your life to have meant?
yeah,
That's what we mean when we say legacy. We're not talking about a trust fund, which those
yeah,
things are great, but by doing what matters, what are you building that's going to last longer than you?
yeah, and it's different for everybody. It's different for
Mhm.
everyone, and that's good. We want you
Mhm.
to pursue what you've been called to do, your reason for being on this earth. And Power Sheets, I love about Power Sheets because it helps you figure that out. It helps you
Mhm.
sort out like what is on your plate because you feel obligated to do it, and what's on your plate because it, it's your calling or it really matters to you. Um, but I was thinking about this morning. I was reading these Facebook posts, and I was thinking, I'm gonna write things on my attending list that I would like if someone's gonna write a post about me after I'm gone. This is
Mm.
what I want it to say. And it's
Mhm.
not that I was like a financier, like man, I got a budgeting system that like, maybe I share that with somebody. Maybe I help someone else find financial I can't say peace. Freedom? I don't know, like
Wellness?
financial wellness. Yeah. I don't know. I guess my idea was that like I hope that when my friends or whoever honors my life after I'm gone, that there are common themes and that those
Mhm.
themes are good and that are other people focused.
Yeah.
That when they remember me, they remember, like, the goodness that they had in their life because I was in it, and I think that is a kind of a weird way to think about your life, like, what are people gonna write
Mhm.
about me on Facebook? I don't mean it that way, but I mean it like that's what comes to their mind.
What are they gonna remember about you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, what did I leave behind in this world in
I
the hearts of
love
others? Um, yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of a weird revelation this morning. I was like, "That is so interesting that people who talk about him usually all say the same thing." And he
Mhm.
was not like, "My 3 favorite things in this world
Right.
are," but he just lived that way every day in and out, and it's been very humbling to see that because Tori, we talk about legacy all the time. We talk
Mhm.
about how our days are numbered and how one day we're not gonna be here anymore, and so we've got a time limit on how long we can cultivate here on Earth.
Mhm.
But when you see it face to face, like, it's very inspiring.
Yeah,
It really is.
it is.
You know that. You've
Yeah.
lost and loved and yeah.
And I think it's just yeah, it I was reflecting on a goal this year that I've had for years, and I could just never do it. Like,
Yeah.
I just for
Mhm.
some reason so I've talked about it in multiple different areas, but I really want to maintain a clean home. Not like a not perfect, but,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
picked up a tidy home,
Yeah.
and I've wanted that, and because clutter overwhelms me, and then I don't like being at my house, and I tried to identify what it was,
Uh-huh.
and I caught myself the other day at work saying, "Well, I have an open door policy at my house," and I was like, "That's why I want that. I want my home to feel inviting, even if somebody just showed up at my door, where it would be a place of, like, peace and comfort for them, and they like, it wouldn't feel cluttered or, like, overwhelming, you know?"
Yes,
And I was
Tori,
like, "That's why."
I have a memory of my childhood where we had to get a new couch. Like, our couches were really old, so we had to go pick out new couches, and my mom wanted this one couch, but my dad said, "Nope, you can't buy it. The base is too close to the ground. We need a couch the kids can stuff stuff under if somebody shows up at the door." Because that's how we cleaned our house. We'd have all of our toys and everything,
You need,
and
like,
we
the hanging little, like,
yes,
dust.
my dad would not let us buy a couch so we couldn't, like, rush to stuff things. So, like, I resonate with that. You've got 2 little kids. I resonate with being like, I need a system and a routine where I'm not couch stuffing when somebody
Yeah.
rings my doorbell. Like, I want it to be like, "Come on in, sit
Yeah,
down."
and I'm fine, like, I'm not saying
Yeah.
my house needs to be perfect when someone
Yeah.
comes over, but, like, if there's laundry on the couch, where are we gonna sit and have a
Yes.
heart-to-heart
Yes.
conversation, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
And so then I was like, "That's
No,
why."
same.
That that's why that matters to me
Yeah.
because I wanna be that safe haven for someone,
Mhm.
and even if they don't care that my house is a mess, I'm gonna be distracted by that, and then I'm not gonna feel confident, and,
Yeah.
it's all related, and so now, every single day, I've marked off whatever my cleaning routine is for that day because now it matters. It matters to me now.
That is so profound. I love that. That's so
And so
profound.
I think it's that connection of what you're saying, like, what is it that you were made for that really, really matters to you? And then that is what's going to drive your goals and help you to really push towards making it happen.
Yeah. I love that. Tori, I'm really excited to see how you flesh this goal out.
Me too.
We're gonna talk about it on Tuesdays. We're gonna like talk about the action steps behind these goals. I'm
Yeah.
really excited. I love this goal, and I'm really excited to hear like the practical ways that you make this goal come to life. You're very, very good at that, at breaking things down,
Mm.
and so I'm super
Thanks,
excited to
friend.
follow along. Very
I've
excited.
learned.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
Okay.
gonna be really fun.
It's gonna be super fun.
I'm
I'm so
looking forward
excited
to
about the
this.
bloom.
Yeah.
Also, if you're watching this, you're like, "Hey, why didn't they tell us?" Tori and I have never done YouTube Live before, and we didn't want to have this big announcement that we were going to be here and then it not work right. But it works great, and we're so excited. Lisa, I see your comments. I am going to go back and read them at the end. But we're going to be reminding you about this. So follow our Instagram, and you will get notifications. We'll post on there about when it's coming and that kind of stuff. I'm really super excited about the bloom, Tori. I'm
Me
very
too.
grateful to be here with you. Very.
Me too, friend. It's gonna be a great year.
Yeah. one quick thing, I was gonna say, like, what do we hope to get out of the bloom? Like, what do we hope people get out of it? I'll start
Mm.
because I didn't really I didn't prep you, but you can take a
Yeah.
second. We were gonna like the inspiration behind it was twofold. One, casual coffee chat where people can come and have their questions answered. But two, we wanted a place to be able to show our actual power sheets and our products, how we're going to use them. And so I hope that from the Bloom, you get heartfelt encouragement with friends. Um, you can get your questions answered, but you can also see visually. Hang on. It's okay. You're fine. My sister's coming in. You can also see
Hi, sister.
visually. It's my friend. Oop, she needs her lipstick. We're Southern women. We don't do anything without our
Southern
lipstick.
women spirit.
I'm so sorry. I told you I was at my grandparents' house, and it is sweet. People have been coming in and out all day. But anyway, um, the third thing is that I really hope we can show people, like, practically how this looks. Like, Tori, I think everybody would say, yes, I would love for my home to be open door where someone could just walk in at any time. But I've got little kids and I work full time. And what
Me
does
too.
that no, I mean, I don't, but I'm saying people do that. Yeah,
No,
like,
I
what does
know.
that really look like? Like, how do I do that? And what do I do when I fail? This is a
Mm.
place I hope that you can go for ideas, advice, and just camaraderie and encouragement. So that's what I hope the Bloom is. What about you?
I that of yes,
Thank
100%.
you.
I love that. I also hope that the Bloom is a place that you can come and feel very seen because we're
Mm,
just real people. We're just real everyday girls trying to do the things that matter most. Um,
yeah,
and I think there's this idea that like we've got it together because we work at Cultivate What Matters. And while yes, we've learned a lot along the way, we're still just people and life still happens to us and we don't have perfection. No one does.
yeah,
And so I hope that you can come here and just feel really seen and um, valued for going out and doing the things that matter to you. Because if we could all do that, I think the world would just be a really sweet place. So we're just excited to get to spend some time with you and share the real pull the curtain back behind Cultivate
yeah. I'm excited. It's gonna be really fun. So thank you for sharing that, Tori. I totally agree with you. I think I was reading a
with our lipstick, of
with our
course.
lipstick. Hey, Debbie. Oh yeah, we're gonna have lipstick on. You know, you already know. I
Us
read a
Alabama girls.
listen. When I come home, the accent gets thicker. But anyway,
I know, I feel like I'm, like, picking it back up. I'm, like,
you are.
picking your accent back up. We're just gonna be like, "Well, y'all, it was great spending the day with you."
Pretty soon, pretty soon. Tori, I read a quote by Tori Hope Peterson. I don't know if you follow her, but
Oh,
she's
I love her
so do
so
I.
much.
I know, so do I. She said, I don't want to be seen as a powerhouse. I want to be seen as a safe house.
Mm,
And I think that's how I feel about the Bloom. When you were saying that, I was like, yeah, same. Like, we are not, we hustle hard, we work hard, we have big goals, but more than anything, we just want to give people a place to belong and to work on your goals. And I love that you said that. Um,
love that.
Yeah, so we'll be here at 12:30 Central Time, 1:30 Eastern Time with our lipstick on. This month we're talking about the power of preparation. So even if you think you're behind, you're not. Um, we're going to be prepping all month for the things that matter. So I'm really excited about that. Tori, did I forget anything? Anything we need to add?
No, we'll see you back next week talking about power prep.
I'm so excited. Okay, I don't know how
Yes.
to hang up. So
Okay.
give me some grace. We're going to try and figure it out. Thank you all so much for coming. It was great to see you. We'll see you next time.
Bye, friends.
Bye.